Today is Monday, February 13th, 2023, and it's been 6 years since the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. 6 years without answers or justice is a long time. But as I reflect on what a 2017 world looked like, it feels like so much more time has passed. When retroactively looking at a crime, I think it's important to consider the social, political, and cultural factors that occurred in the background of that fateful day. With all that's changed around us during this time, I believe the public perception of these murders, the people involved in the case, and the investigation would be very different if this crime occurred in 2023. To prove my point and complete this analysis, we first have to go back in time a bit. So I put together a quick segment to take you back 6 years and remind you what was on our minds in 2017.
The deadliest mass shooting in modern American history.
A gunman opening fire on an outdoor country music festival. 59 people were killed, 527 others wounded. Victims of yet another mass shooting, this time a little church in a small Texas town.
Terror attack in New York City. At least 8 people are dead, over a dozen more injured as a truck barrels through the bike lane.
Terror in Manchester. Horrific bombing at Britain's largest concert arena. Many of the victims, teenagers and children, attending an Ariana Grande concert.
Ugly, deadly day in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Crowd of people. And 2 hours after hundreds of white nationalists clashed with counter-protesters.
To all the white supremacists, go home.
Hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides.
This morning, a Hollywood titan dethroned.
McGowan, Judd, and Sorvino are among the 90 women who have leveled sexual misconduct allegations against Weinstein.
The hashtag #MeToo becoming a rallying cry against all sexual harassment.
We are strong, we are brave, and we will fight!
More than 1 million demonstrators worldwide.
This is what democracy looks like!
The outrage over President Trump's controversial immigration order to restrict travel from 7 Muslim-majority nations.
Russia
is a made-up story.
Breaking news tonight, President Trump has fired FBI Director James Comey.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired.
This fire is intensified every single day.
We need gas, food, I don't know, someone to help us.
Prince Harry and American actress Meghan Markle are officially engaged.
He got on one knee.
Patriots win the Super Bowl! What a comeback!
So it's February 2017. Tom Brady just won his 5th Super Bowl ring. The song Bad and Bougie by Migos topped the charts, followed closely by Ed Sheeran's Shape of You and Closer by the Chainsmokers. Jordan Peele's critically acclaimed psych horror film Get Out just dropped in theaters, and everyone was watching 13 Reasons Why on Netflix. This is the cultural context of that fateful day in Delphi, Indiana. The 13th day of February, which is still shrouded in so much secrecy and distorted by deception. And while so much of the world around us has changed in the last 6 years, there's only one thing that hasn't, and that never will, and that's the truth about what happened to Abby and Libby, which has still yet to be revealed.
And so you're answering their questions, and you're answering these things. And then maybe something would come up that make you stop and think, and so I would go back and do some digging later. The problem is once you say something, you can't say anything different.
They'll nail you.
We're not allowed to be like a police investigation. We're not allowed to uncover something else, because if something else comes out, heaven forbid, we're covering up or changing our stories or whatever.
The Delphi case is rife with deception, and the public has been undeniably misled by both law enforcement and those closest to the case. To start, this image is not real, nor is it the last photograph of Abigail, just moments before the killer approached. It first appeared on Facebook, not through law enforcement. It is an edited combination of this authentic photograph of Abby playing softball in a hotel parking lot and the bridge guy image itself, which is a template of sorts. You can go to the channel I Have Apophis and watch the series Shadow Man to see this proven as fact. These two pieces of evidence were planted on Libby's phone by the perpetrators. This would have been obvious to the FBI immediately, and that's why the case has been handled with so much secrecy, because of deception. 2 years later, after having Disney and NASA work with them, law enforcement disseminated this video of the bridge guy, which I believe has valuable pieces of information, which are the walk, the body, and the mannerisms. In my opinion, law enforcement caught who they believed to be the killer on some form of digital media, whether that's CCTV footage or the footage of the alleged snuff film itself. That's all debatable. But I believe they overlaid the killer's walk and body shape on the planted photograph to create the video. They released this in 2019 so the killer's family and loved ones would come forward in hopes that it would confirm any suspicions that may be existing. Nobody came forward. Now, to sit here and unpack all the lies the people surrounding this case have publicly told would take me hours, and most of them have already been discussed on my channel. But to quickly summarize, the family's timeline of that day, or even the weekend before, have never been confirmed or endorsed by law enforcement, and it is entirely fabricated to give everyone a convenient alibi. The details of their stories have changed countless times, from the varying reports of the existence of sweatshirts, though Libby's bolo did not mention a sweatshirt, to the 10 to 20 kids Kelsey saw when supposedly dropping the girls off at the trails. And of course, Kelsey blatantly lying about having contact with the Anthony Shots account on the night of February 13th. They will try to dismiss any inconsistency as just them learning more information and magically remembering new details because, say it with me everyone, trauma. These are all lies that we have been told to manipulate our emotions and make us forget logic. They have made calculated moves to adjust and promote their narrative to avoid scrutiny and ultimately prosecution. They have intentionally muddied the waters under the guise of noble activism from a grieving family, despite never having been cleared from this investigation. They traveled the nation, went on Dr. Phil, Megyn Kelly, Dr. Oz, countless CrimeCon conventions to spread the image of Bridge Guy far and wide, despite law enforcement publicly stating they believe the killer is from their 3,000-person community. They have attacked, bullied, and censored anyone who asks any questions about the many inconsistencies in their tale. They sympathy farm and use their proximity to a murder victim to declare themselves as the victims, which brings me to my next topic. What does it mean to be a victim? When I cover and research homicide cases, I believe the victims are the deceased. Those with familial relationships to the deceased are the victim's family. And more often than not, a victim's family life plays a part in their murder. So to approach these cases affording all members with an automatic cloak of innocence is irresponsible, especially when they can't keep their stories straight to save their lives. So I want to talk about this concept of victimhood, as I find it to be both fascinating and uncomfortable. 2017 was the summit of the Me Too movement, which definitely led to some important progress, education, and public discourse surrounding a normalized sexual assault culture, especially in Hollywood. But there's an interesting change I've noticed in the rhetoric that was occurring in 2017 versus now, and it has to do with the saying, "believe all victims," that was popularized by the Me Too movement. This sentiment is essentially that it's better to believe a victim of an assault or rape even if they aren't telling the truth, than to look like an asshole by questioning the validity of their story if they are in fact telling the truth. And this sounds like a reasonable mindset to have, but it is in fact quite dangerous, as we saw with the case of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. When Amber Heard cried victim during the 2016-2017 era, she was believed because of this believe all victims mentality. Her experience was not questioned out of fear of undermining her potential trauma. The problem with this, however, is anyone can call themselves a victim. Anyone can make up a story and twist a narrative where they are the ones who have been harmed. This special treatment and automatic victimhood fuels narcissism and allows narcissistic individuals to manipulate anyone who will listen to them.
And there is no doubt in your mind what motivated this attack.
I could only go off of their words. I mean, who says empire, this MAGA country, ties a noose around your neck and pours bleach on you? And this is just a friendly fight? I will never be the man that this did not happen to. I am forever changed. And I don't subscribe to the idea that everything happens for a reason, but I do subscribe to the idea that we have the right and the responsibility to make something meaningful out of the things that happen to us, good and bad.
Your very name has become an adverb for lying. And I cannot imagine what could be worse than that. I'm trying to consider who you are as a person, how you got here, how somehow you strayed away from your family values, you let that dark, narcissistic, selfish, and arrogant side come out, and you persisted with it for years on this case. I'm fashioning the following sentence, and here's your sentence. I'm sentencing you to 30 months felony probation, and the probation is going to be to this court, and that will start today, right here, right now.
No, I would just like to say to Your Honor that I am not suicidal. That's what I would like to say.
Okay.
I am not suicidal.
Okay.
I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. If I did this, then it means that I stuck my fist in the fears of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years and the fears of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you and I respect the jury, but I did not do this. And I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself. And you must all know that. I respect you, Your Honor. I respect your decision. Jail time. I am not suicidal.
Okay.
But as the years have passed and we've gone through a global pandemic and many Americans are just tired of bullshitters like Amber Heard, I would argue that we're actually getting a lot better at identifying these tactics and becoming immune to their ways.
The $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
I use pledge and donation synonymous with one another.
But I don't. Ms. Heard, I don't use it synonymously.
That's how donations are paid.
Ms. Heard, respectfully, that's not my question. As of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the ACLU. Yes or no?
I have not yet.
And as of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, correct?
I have not yet. Johnny sued me.
So as of today, you have not paid $7 million of your divorce settlement to charity, right?
I have not been able to fulfill those obligations yet.
And that's because you did want something, didn't you?
I didn't want anything and I didn't get anything.
You wanted Mr. Depp's money.
Didn't get it, wasn't interested in it. I loved Johnny, that's why I was with him.
You wanted praise for donating the money, right?
That's incorrect.
You wanted good press.
In general, one does want good press, yes.
You wanted to seem altruistic publicly.
Wasn't my interest. My interest is in my name and clearing my name, and at the time I was being called a liar and my motives were being questioned. I did see it as important to clear that up. I wanted to make a statement to make sure that there was not any doubt that I couldn't be labeled these things just because Johnny was a bigger star and had more publicity reach.
You wanted to remind everyone of your claims of domestic violence against Mr. Depp, right?
No, I wanted to move on with my life.
You wanted to make those claims seem believable.
They are believable. They were
You wanted
believable.
them to be seen, you wanted to be seen, as a noble victim of domestic violence,
I have
didn't you?
never wanted to be seen as a victim. Nor have I ever called myself one.
You testified under oath that, quote, the entirety of your divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote, didn't you?
That's correct. I pledged the entirety.
No. Ms. Heard, my questions. Your counsel will have time to redirect you after. You testified under oath, quote, the entirety of your divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote.
That is correct. I pledged the entirety.
I'm going to move to strike everything after yes.
All right.
2017 was before the Jussie Smolletts and the Sherry Papinis of the world were exposed for staging scenarios to make themselves victims. And it's situations like this that shine a light on the dangers of affording automatic benefit of the doubt because there will always be a narcissist waiting to exploit your kindness.
The trail that you saw when you dropped the girls off.
I don't think I ever said that I saw all of them.
Oh God, you better not have, man, because here it comes.
It's coming.
I think you're talking about the Renner interview when you said there was a lot of kids there, right?
I knew there were a lot of people there, and I'm like tired of that question because if you know that there's been 50 people in one place over the day and you saw 10 people there while you were at the trail, like they might not have been there all at one given time, but why does it matter? Like, what does it matter? What do these trail questions matter? How does it affect the case? Because law enforcement knows who was there. They know who I saw. They know who I didn't see. They know who was there when. They have pictures that people took while they were there. They know exactly what my story is, and it's never changed. It might add things, like if over time I remember that I saw someone, or I remember this conversation, or I remember that I saw a car, like they're grateful that I remembered that fact and I brought it to them. No matter how long it takes me to remember that, because they know that like that was the most traumatic day of my life. And it's totally valid to have forgotten things or to not thought something was important at the time and to have thought about it now. And they would rather have it now than not at all. So I think at the end of the day, it's just people want to pick and they want to have a reason to not like you. And I think really at the end of the day, even more so than that, is that they're just really sad people.
Hear that, everyone? If you ask Kelsey about a major inconsistency that came from her mouth, such as the amount of people that were at the trail when she says she dropped the girls off, you're the troll. You're just a sad person who wants to hate on the family because you have nothing better to do with your life. A victim blamer, judgmental and cruel. But I've got news for you. Kelsey is not a victim of this crime. The victims are two little girls who should be in college right now, who should be living their lives far away from Delphi, Indiana, and the mostly insufferable people that surrounded them during their upbringing. The truth is all that matters, and the only way we will get there is passion from the rest of us. It's from relentless effort and pressure to call out the bullshit and name it as such. Now, I'm not saying you should walk through life expecting and thinking the worst from everyone. If someone tells you they've been the victim of a crime, you should always listen to that person. Listen to victims. Yes, absolutely. But to blindly just believe anyone and everyone, to come up with excuses for strange behavior, why someone may have acted the way they did, and to overlook critical inconsistencies because you don't want to hurt their feelings is ridiculous, and I'm so sick of it. So no, I don't have any new evidence to share with you on this somber anniversary. I don't have any crazy new theories to float by you, but I do have a request. And it's that you re-examine what you know about this crime in the pursuit of one thing, and that's the truth. Void of manipulation or qualifications or anything like that. Because that's what these two little girls deserve. The truth, the whole truth, no matter how dark, no matter how evil, no matter how close to home, the whole truth will be told. It might take a little while, but it will come out because what's done in the dark will always come to light, and the house of cards will come crashing down. Mark my words.